If Adam had not allowed Eve to pour into him, sin would have never come into the world. Sin came into the world because Adam broke the order. We were not designed to receive from women. Your self-esteem is compromised when you have to ask your wife for lunch money. I'm not saying you got to be rich. I'm not saying you got to be famous. I'm saying that you have got to be the one who pours in, not the one who takes out. When Adam started eating out of his wife's hand, sin came in because the divine order was broken. This breaks all sociological orders of the culture we're living in now, because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you are climbing the corporate ladder, but we are losing our families. I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house, but until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away. Oh, y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning. The conversation has become, let's prove to the men how dispensable they are. And it is born out of pain because we hurt you and betrayed you and lied to you and cheated to you. And you became like you became out of pain. Oh, Lord. I told you they wasn't going to like this, Jesus.
Okay, so that's the video for those that have not seen it. Hey, Davida, you got a different name up there, I see. Unless you change your name, you get married all of a sudden?
No, let me explain. Let me explain to y'all.
Uh-huh.
It's the head of our King's Ministry church. I manage his meetings, and I must have stayed signed in. So it's not my account. I apologize.
No worries, no worries. So again, everybody got a chance to see the video if you have not seen the video. To TD Jakes' credit, the whole message from what I've heard does not go down that same path. It actually leads into some other things. But we're going to concentrate primarily off of those 2 to 3 minutes because it's interesting that this has been something that's going on in the dating arena, because I know you guys hang out in some of the dating gurus on YouTube, and they've been talking a lot about this. So it's kind of ironic that finally TD Jakes is actually mentioning it. And now there's a big controversy because we all know that about 60 to 70% of the church is women. So how, are people handling this? How are they taking it? So remember, 2 to 3 minute answers is not about a message tonight. It's just about a conversation. If you want to go ahead and put your hand up, Alt-Y will do it. If you don't know where to find it, that will get your hand up. All right, come on, Stan the man. Knock it out, brother.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's been a minute. Hey, I just want to comment real quick on TD Jakes. On the first part, the first 2-3 minutes of his video, in my opinion, he hit the nail on the head. I think the problem, I've been in Atlanta for 8 months now since relocating here from Wisconsin. And the women that I've spoke with, the women that I've observed, the women that I've heard conversations, a vast majority of the women that I've heard, they have forgotten the part about what the scripture says. The scripture says, he who finds a wife finds good things and has favor of the Lord. It says he who finds. It doesn't say she. A lot of women, I've heard women say, oh, I picked or I chose him. And you're in the wrong lane. The man, if you want a biblical relationship or biblical foundation to a biblical marriage, the man is the pursuer, not the other way around. And getting back to TD's comment about when you meet someone, I don't care how much money you make. I don't care where you live, what you drive. You're bragging on yourself. And like you said, that doesn't impress a lot of men. It pushes them away. Because again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you're making, because how do you treat me as a man? How do I treat you as a woman? And as far as, and I know this might be off topic, but the whole thing with polygamy, getting into the whole dating thing, if I'm making 180,000 a year, you're making 80, or vice versa, do the math, it still comes out to be 260. So it doesn't matter if you're making more than me, if I'm making more than you. If I'm not digging in your pockets asking you for money, you're not digging in my pockets asking for money, then that means we're both financially stable, right? So if we were to combine together, we'll be the bomb.com. It's too many people caught up on a person's worth versus getting to know their character. But again, women bragging on themselves about what you did, what you drive, all of this, you're acting like a dude. That's not impressive to a lot of men. And then one last thing, I've gone out with women, and the first thing they will say is, forgive me, I have a potty mouth. I swear a lot. If you're acting hood, you're acting, ghetto, that's not, that's not biblical. That's not a lady. I'm sure Rebecca didn't act like that. I'm sure Sarah or Hagar in the Bible didn't act like that. Learn how to be a lady. Most men want a woman with a gentle spirit, not a dogmatic, hard type of woman.
Appreciate that, Stan the man. Okay, I guess we lost Aswell. He didn't, I don't know if we lost him, period, or if he just kind of fell back. But go ahead, Davita. Educate us. Remember, 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, y'all can see I changed my name. I'm not married yet. Okay, so when I look at that video, first of all, it really saddens me. It makes me feel so sad because I realize he's telling the truth. A lot of women present themselves like that. And unfortunately, I'm not a woman. There's a lot of women who don't, but those ones that do give us a bad rap. There are some women, namely myself and other women, who have become, quote unquote, the breadwinners out of necessity. And we don't say anything about how much we make or the car we drive or anything, but it's evident. You could just see it, especially if you're meeting somebody at work. And unfortunately, there are men who are intimidated by that. The average man. Now, maybe it's just me because of my locale. I run into that quite a bit, but I don't think that I don't think that all women are like that. And so it just really saddens me. That's all I'm gonna say, because I have an opposite problem. I don't wear my status on my sleeve or anything like that. But I still have a problem meeting men who can appreciate a woman of means and are not intimidated by that.
Okay, so that was cool. Thank you so much, Davita. Come on, Oswald. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I'm disrespecting it. Come on, sir.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just interested because the brother, he said some things that, going back to the original point he was making, it was about family structure, and then he went off to the left of me, in my opinion. But the thing that you all are talking about is the structure of the family. It's not really about what you make and what I make and everything, but we have to accept the fact that if you're looking at biblically, I'm Muslim, but just trying to join this just to understand people's views. But if you look at it, the man is the one is the provider. So in terms of establishing roles for males and females, we have to look at that as far as the man is the provider, ultimately. In my religion, is more so her money is her money, your money is her money. So in that sense, what I'm saying is that what I see from these younger 20s and 30s, where they talk about, they're looking for a female that's going to be like a, I don't know, a power couple or whatever. But I'm like, what are you supposed to do? What's your responsibilities as a man? And I think it's just the breakdown of the family. That's all I have to say.
No, well, I appreciate that. But I will say that a lot of it, just to make sure that we're clear on some of the stuff, a lot of the problem, even though it might seem that it's 20s and 30s, and I will admit we've had people to come through in their 20s and 30s that have talked about how a lot of those women will say, hey, I'm out here, and the men don't just want me to be nice and attractive, but they also want me to be bringing home the bacon. And I have heard women in the 20s and 30s say that. But I think for the most part of what, you know, a lot of what TD Jakes is saying, he's not just saying about the 20s and 30s. He's talking about probably from the 50s all the way down to the 20s. And we've seen evidence of this. We can see it in the media. So I think it is evident in more than just the 20s and 30s. I just wanted to make sure I put that out. Come on, Julia, talk to us.
Good evening, everyone. I don't even know where to begin, but so there are a lot of factual statements shared in the sermon, but some of the notes that I wanted to just share with the group, starting with the biblical perspective. What's interesting a lot of times that we fail to acknowledge is that one, Adam was given the instruction. However, in chapter 3 of Genesis, the serpent intentionally approaches the woman. Why is that? Is it because the woman holds the wisdom? Why did the serpent intentionally overlook the man to have the discussion about the fruit? I think that that is a point of discussion that we sometimes avoid, especially in the church. The additional thing that I want to bring to the table is so much of, and I love my brothers, I love me a Black man, but so much of what our men, the degrade, the down, you know, the whole challenge with the masculinity and the focus on the dollar and what can be brought to the table, so much of that does come from the challenges of being in the diaspora, of just dealing with slavery and what all that brought to breaking up the family and making the Black man not feel like he was head of household. So I think that there's so much more out. I think we start with the biblical reference because it is the sermon topic, but there's so much more to what's happening in the family mix and what has caused that that break between Black woman and Black man that we don't sometimes want to talk about in these conversations. There was a brother on the call that talked about some issues earlier that really kind of struck me, because I think we're very quick to say what is the tone that a woman should have, but yet at the same time, want to match that. So we want the woman to be gentle and meek and humble, all of these great things. But yet at the same time, like the gentleman just said a moment ago, you want her to also bring home the bacon. So I think we have to pick and choose, you know, or at least be fair in our presentation of what we expect women to be. I said, because I think we have failed to realize that we all have different journeys. We have a different story, bring things to the table that have allowed us to be who we are. And so everybody's not going to be meek and mild. And just because I may share some different languages in my conversation that you may not like, that don't mean that I'm hood. I express myself a little differently. And so I just wanted to share that.
Okay, well, thank you, Miss Julia. I think Stan has a reprisal for you. He's ready. Come on, Stan. What you got to say about that, bro?
Real quick. And I'm not sure what man that she was referring to, as far as, I don't know any man that wants a woman to bring home the bacon. At least in the circle where I'm from, I come from a large family, 7 boys and 5 girls, and all the brothers, all the men in the family, hold it down. So if she's meeting men who are comfortable with a woman bringing home the bacon, then those, in my opinion, that's not a real man, because the man, like the brother said, the man is the provider. Now, just because the woman might make more or equal or whatever, but at the end of the day, from a biblical standpoint, when the creditors are knocking on the door, they're calling to speak to Mr. So-and-so, not Mrs. So-and-so. As far as the deal with the serpent in the Garden of Eden, I think the reason why the serpent went to the woman, because the serpent knew that the man is going to be on the lookout. A man is always at a heightened alert of, or awareness of their surroundings. So I think that's why the serpent went to the woman, because the woman was probably, nonchalant or just, happy-go-lucky, and the man is always watching around, making sure that everything's on point. So that's why the serpent went to the woman, because the man would have caught him in his scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, here's a question for you guys, and y'all can shout it out in the chat, okay? So we can go ahead and go through this. How many people believe that, in a quote unquote perfect world, that the man is supposed to bring home the bacon, i.e. make the money, i.e. pay the main bills in the household? So you end up with a situation almost like my boy Oswald was saying, where women can literally say, what's mine is mine and what yours is mine. So how many people are like, I want the man to bring home the bacon? So I got 3 or 4 right now. Yep, says Rashonda. Who else? Agree. Okay, so we got more traditionalists, which makes sense. Does anybody disagree? Let me see if I see anybody disagree. Okay. Okay, we got some people who disagree. Tara disagrees. Janine disagrees. Kristen is kind of on the fence, sort of. She's in it. Timmy agrees. Bree disagrees. Okay, can we hear from some people who disagree? Sarah, you want to say anything? Anybody want to disagree? Y'all all quiet. Okay, come on, Rochelle. You got your hand up. Nobody else is coming with it. So come on.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, because I think we're having the conversation about a woman's profession only being tied to income, but I think it's also tied to a woman's sense of purpose. The fact that she went to school, the fact that she has a brain, that she wants to be intellectually relevant for her husband and for herself and for her family, etc. And so that makes for, I think, a more rich experience with your mate. Some men really want a cultured, intelligent woman who can speak on many different things. And so, so for that, I think it's important for a woman to feel like she has a profession and her husband supports that. As far as like the money aspect, to me, I'm thinking it's important that you're able to live on one income, no matter whose it is, just from being financially kind of fiscally responsible, because you don't want to live a lifestyle where you need to, and then one person loses their job. So I'm kind of somewhere between agree and disagree.
No, I'm with you, because I think it's always that thing where, what if your husband gets hit by a bus on the way home, and then now, you out there. Well, come on, Lakeisha, what you got to say?
Hey, everybody. So my disagreement is because we are one when we become married. It's not his money or my money, it's our money. So that's the reason why I don't agree to that, because I'm not gonna be like, okay, well, you use your check to take care of the rent and I use my check to pay for the bills. We're not roommates. This money's gonna go in one pot. It's all gonna be combined in. I can't pull my dollar out and be like, this my dollar, that's your dollar. It's not gonna work like that. So we're all gonna be, we both of us, I mean, as adults, there ain't too many households these days where a man and a woman are not working. So I'm not, so, and I believe it's Stan who would say, if however much you make, we put those two together, we make a certain amount. So that's why I disagree, because of the fact that I'm still working, I'm still able to work. I enjoy working. So I guess maybe for the ones who don't enjoy working, maybe they are looking for a man, who wants to take care of them. But that's not what I'm looking for. Nor am I looking for anyone to take care of me. And I would never belittle anyone because they make less or whatever. But I'm not looking for him to take care of the bills or anything like that. It's our money. Everything we do, we will have that discussion. We'll do it together. So that's the reason why I disagreed on that.
Okay, cool. Now Tara put what she says. She's saying she always wants her own money. Now I can't go into depth about that because she would actually have to put it exactly in there, exactly what she means by that. But she also says realistically, living off of one salary in New Jersey is pretty hard. Because again, we do have people from all around the world that join us. Okay. And then Selena says, not saying not working, but the man is the head of the house. So come on, Oswald, sir. Please, sir, enlighten us. Okay, and Tara also says, well, Oswald's getting his mic going, she was raised to have bump you money. So if the man is tripping, she can get out and do her own thing.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you now.
All right, this is Oswald. I wanted to clarify something because I think we went a little left in terms of what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say is ultimately the man is responsible for taking care of the woman and their offspring. Okay, he's the one that has to. I'm talking about from a biblical and Quranic standpoint. But anyway, so I'm not saying the woman can't do what she want to do. The Prophet Muhammad actually, before he got his prophethood, his wife was Khadijah, was his boss. So I'm not saying the woman can't do what she wants to do, but ultimately, when it comes down to it, as far as feeding your children, feeding your wife, providing for your wife as far as housing, clothing, the necessity is on the man. The woman can choose do whatever she want to do. But I'm talking about we have to have a breakdown, and this is what I think is the problem with us now, because I was married for 20 years and I was the cook, I did the laundry, I did all the stuff that's considered feminine, but we don't have a breakdown of what our roles are. And that might be a whole nother discussion. That's all I want to say.
No, that was good. That was good. I'm gonna wait for some more people to come up and have something to say. And definitely, please speak up, people. Come on now, don't be afraid. We won't bite. We're just here for a good conversation. But for those that have hung out in CSC for a long period of time, we do talk about that Christ is the head. Under Christ is man. Under man is one man. Under one man is children. We talk about that all the time. So therefore, that is the order that we talk about in CSC. However, I do think that there, are some things in that we can kind of figure out. But again, to get back to TD Jake's point, which I think we're kind of hitting and then we're kind of off, is that can we look at the modern woman and can we say that she is walking and saying, hey, I don't need a man. I want to be the person that makes the money. I want to have the children under me. I want to have everything under me. And you know what? If you guy come along, you're just kind of here for my entertainment. You're just kind of here for whatever. I mean, is that more of the feeling that we're getting from modern women, or is that just
Yes.
a stereotype? Come on, Steve.
Yes. Yep.
Well, talk, man. It's you. It's on you.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. No. You hit it on the nail on the head, Jay. Like I said, I think a lot of people nowadays, they're caught up with the whole, society, media, and the internet, Atlanta Housewives, and everything. And at the end of the day, I'll make it real simple. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself: do you want a biblical-based relationship, marriage, or do you want your relationship based on society? Because if and this is Christian single, so we're under the umbrella. See my air quotes. We're calling ourselves believers. So either you want a biblical type relationship, a respectful, a nurturing, where you work as a partner, or do you want to conform to society? You can't have them both. So it's each person's gonna have to choose.
Okay, well, that's what's up. Come on, Tawana. I know you got a lot to say. You was wilding out over there on Cardo. We can't hear you though.
Oh, sorry. I apologize in advance. Sorry if I repeat anything because I just went to the grocery store. And guess what? As a woman, I would love for somebody to help me with the groceries. That would have been wonderful. So, so no, I don't agree with TD Jakes, Pastor TD Jakes, when he says that women are just out here bragging on what they have. If anything, I think a lot of us withhold, a lot of information because we don't want the scrub. We don't want the guy who doesn't have himself together to, at that point, decide that he wants us to, be a financial crutch. We don't want to do that for him. We are trying to build. We are trying to do that with other guys, but I think for the men that are financially established, maybe they might feel that way, which is unfortunate because I feel like as a man, you accomplish things in life, right? You want to see that you've flourished and that you've, gotten things in life, and you should be proud of your accomplishments, whether it's a degree, a house, a car, whatever it is. But as a woman, why is it now looked down upon? Why am I being looked down upon because I aspire to have those same things? I can't wait on the guy to do those things for me if I don't meet the right person. So I just feel like we get a lot of backlash for that, but that's not our intention at all. But I don't think that we should be shamed and feel bad for the accomplishments that we make. And there are men I have met, I think I mentioned this in the last meeting, and I'll summarize it up. A guy that worked at Comcast. And at the time, I was working, he was working, and we only had one conversation. But during that conversation, when he learned about me, he was like, well, you don't need a man for nothing. And I was like, well, companionship and, and all of that. But it didn't matter to him because he never called me again. And when you're having a conversation and you're getting to know a person, those questions are asked to get to know that person. You ask, well, what do? You guys are going to ask that question because you want a woman that has herself together. So if you ask those questions and then the woman tells you, and then now after the fact, you feel like she's bragging or you feel like she's, you can't, she doesn't, you're not going to meet the need for her, then that's not on us. Because at that point, we're just getting to know, just like we're going to ask you, well, what do you do? And, what is your education or whatever? That's just all preliminary questions. So I just think that like, I think Cardo said in the chat, like, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't as a woman. And that's unfortunate. That's it.
Well, y'all know what I say. I mean, sometimes it's who you pick, but we're gonna move on. But thank you for that. Come on. I'm thinking of Luz. Hoping I'm saying that right.
You're saying it right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I personally agree with TD Jakes about what he said, not for women as a whole, but, we are being masculinized. We are becoming more independent. And for some of us, it's not because we we want to be independent, right? But doing everything, like Tawana just said, she wished she did have a man putting groceries in the car, but you're forced to just face reality and step up in
to pay some bills too. I'm sorry.
Right? you're forced to step up in society. It's either, it's like a sink or swim kind of thing. And it's like when it comes down to it, am I going to learn how to get some jumper cables and learn how to be able to jump my car, or am I going to wait for someone to do it? Am I going to put myself out there to learn these things, to be dominant and to go after what I want, or am I going to sit back and wait for it to be handed? Now, I have learned, so when it comes to finances, in the past, in meeting someone, I may, as I get to know him, kind of see, what he got going on. And, back in the day when I was younger, when you see someone, has potential, you're probably willing to invest a bit more time because you have time. But I'll just be honest. Now that I'm a bit older, it's like I really want someone who's able to match my energy. And I'm not saying that he has to make a certain amount, but what I am saying is, does he aspire for anything else? Is he comfortable where he is now? Does he want any more out of life? Because, you know, just like someone mentioned, it's about a partnership. We're in this together. If you don't have it, I have friends where her husband wanted to quit his job and start a business. That means that she had to carry the load. He wasn't working. He didn't have the income coming in. And when they sat down and looked at the finances and what they could manage, what we were going to need for the kids, she had made that decision to say, yeah, okay, well, do it. She was his backbone in that moment. But guess what? When she wanted to start her practice, he was okay. Oh, go ahead, babe. Leave the job. He supported her. And I feel like that's what it's supposed to be. And I definitely agree with, I forgot the person's name, but I don't want a man to necessarily take care of me, but I do want a man to be able to wine and dine me. I don't want to be with a man that, can't take me out dancing or be on a nice date, because when it comes down to it, when we planning vacations, I'm not going to say, hey, where your money at? I'm planning the vacation, but it's almost like what's understood don't have to be said, because when we get there, they taking me out. Okay, we going to hang out. But to something else to want to just said with regards to meeting someone and having those conversations. And, we do take pride in our independence. We do take pride in our accomplishments. Anyone does. But I'm learning as a woman also, not necessarily to bring myself down or water myself down, but we also have to be feminine. We have to let a man know, well, babe, I need help with this. Even when we don't need help, y'all, babe, I need help with this. Because a man needs to feel needed, even though we can't do it on our own, because we have been. I'm a single mom. I moved to Georgia from Florida. I've been here for a year. Within a year, I purchased my house. I'm situated. I'm okay. I'm doing well. But yes, I do want a man walking all up through this house. And then I want this to be an investment property and we get another house, but I feel like everyone has their own idea of how they want a relationship to be, how they want it to go based on what they see on TV, based on their experiences. But I do believe that, a man is a head of household. I do believe that submission is real. I'm happily willing to submit. But I do understand that some of us women, even myself, have submitted to the wrong people. But we have to self-reflect and say, well, if you decided to submit up under someone, what was the dream that you were submitting under? Because to submit is to come under someone, like come under that umbrella of what that man has to offer. What is his dream? What is his ambition? Does he see a future with you? Because if we're submitting to someone that don't even have our best interest in mind, don't have my son's best interest at heart, I'm setting myself up for failure anyways. And if we all say that we believe in God and we have a relationship with him, Holy Spirit is leading us anyway. So sometimes we choose to ignore the signs because we want to be people changers, and we want to mend things, and we want to be counseled. We want to play God instead of letting God heal people, because broken people break people.
Yeah, well, that's what's up right there. I'm gonna have to stop you right there, but that was good. Come on, Miss Selena.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I just wanted to touch back on the T.D. Jakes, because I think we kind of still swaying away from what he was actually speaking about. If you actually listen to the entirety of the sermon, it speaks a little bit more about going back to the structure of how, I guess, the past generations and the current generations with men, where women has been forced to become more masculine, as the young lady who just spoke really captured a lot of things I wanted to say, because it goes back generations of where women has been forced to be able, we had to step into that role, because again, men no longer in the household, women, single mothers stepping up to take care of what they need to do. So and when we stepping up to do that, yes, men are looking at us like, okay, you don't need us now because you forced me to not need you anymore. So we need to kind of go back to the beginning. Man, God, man, woman, children. The men needs to step back into that role.
Amen.
Okay, well,
Amen.
I'm gonna let Anna speak, and then I'm gonna speak a little bit about that, and then I think that's might be it for us for right now. But thank you, Miss Selena, I appreciate that. Come on, Anna, do you have something you want to say, right?
Yeah, because I was writing here and I know that it's difficult, the scripture, society, and plus the way that you have been raised in. And in my case, I remember my mom and my grandma always saying, you have to make sure to build yourself, have a career, so you are more independent. But they were speaking regarding their point of view. But now I'm doing, when I'm talking with my daughter, I am raising a young, independent lady also. So it's also that part, and the society makes sure that you can bring yourself together with the other partner. I do agree with what Luz was saying, that we are more capable and we have education, and making sure, from my point of view, I'm asking for someone to have the same stuff that I'm willing to put on. And I want a man with the intention to need a man in my life. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to diminish myself to try to get the right person. Because at the end, when you want something, you can influence and adapt and modify your behavior to make stuff work. And I'm saying regarding Christian person also. So at the end of the day, it's also your circumstances, the way that you were raising, and the part of the biblical part scripture. Of course, I'm always a struggle, because at the end of the day, you're always trying to aim for more. You have ambitions and making sure that you are there. But I have been seeing myself that when I go to a date, I tend to be quiet just to wait that the other person show me a little bit about themselves before I start saying that, well, I'm traveling a lot along, I'm doing this, I got invest, I here and there, just to make sure like I don't sound too intimidating. And by the way, I am 6 feet, so I am intimidating only with my height. So that is part of what I'm seeing. But like all ladies here, of course we want someone. Just at the end of the day, we are also trying to pick the right person so we can grow together. So when I see that topic, if women are acting like a man, I don't think that is because we need to. We can be so subtle in other ways and so strong in other area, but it's just adapting in the situation when we don't have that. So anyway, just shading.
No, thank you. Thank you. I think that was really good. And I wanted to say this real quick and kind of, you know, I know Ron has his hand up, but maybe lead us in a slightly different direction for the last 15 minutes or so. But I will let Ron say what he has to say. But I think you always have a bad apple, you know, the bad apple concept where, you know, people focus in on the big thing, on the big bad apple that's sitting out there. So, you know, you get 15% of the women screaming around, acting a certain way, and then everybody thinks every woman acts that way. So I definitely think we have that going on. But one of the things that we talk about a lot in CSC, and I would love for people to comment on this, is that as this new move has kind of taken over in America with, primarily with Western women, and this encouragement of them to, kind of like what you were saying, Anna, to encourage your daughters to be strong, to encourage them to be quote unquote independent. And y'all know I hate that word. I think women should stop saying that word. But as they're doing that, one of the things that a lot of people are seeing is that they're not encouraging that same behavior in their sons. So they're encouraging their daughters to be strong. And then on the other hand, you're encouraging your sons to be weak, i.e. to be feminine. And so what's happening is literally, even though I don't think women are intending this to happen many times, but there is this theory that what's happening is that women are out here feeling the independent, feeling the pain, making sure their daughter doesn't go through that pain, making sure they're raising them strong. But then when they look to their sons, they're coddling them. They're saying, no, you don't have to do that. No, mommy will take care of you. And so what happens is, as those men grow up and they basically are like women. And then the women are quote unquote like men. So right now, a lot of women talk about this in CSC, where they come out here and they'll be making, $150,000 a year. They're driving their Mercedes SUV, but then every man that they date is making $30,000, $40,000 a year. If he's making that, he comes over to their house, he's watching their TV, he doesn't do any work, he won't cook, he won't do anything. Okay, and then there's that argument of, why did you pick him in the first place? Why won't you raise your son to be a man? Why won't you raise him to be independent? Why won't you raise him to be strong? And why don't you tell your daughter, baby, it's okay for a man one day to take care of you? So Ron, you had your hand up, brother. You first.
Okay, is it all right if I kind of pivot back to the previous subject? That's what my notes were about.
You can pivot back, but anybody who wants to talk about that, they can raise their hand. We got another about 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll make this quick. In terms of the topic here of women, are they being raised to be masculine? Maybe, that's definitely debatable. But I also think, women being independent or being pushed to be independent is going to require them to have some traits that we associate with being masculine. So that's one thing. Also, it's about presentation. You could be a woman that's making $150,000, $200,000. You could drive the best car, live in the best house, whatever have you. But if you present yourself like you're up here and any man that approaches you is down here, you're going to turn men off like your doggone light bill wasn't paid. It's about how you present yourself to people. What you make, I'm one of those people, I don't focus on what you make, what you drive, where you live, what job you have. I focus on your character. I just got out of a relationship not too long ago with a woman that was making great money, lived in a great house, drove a pretty much brand new car. I focused on that character. Didn't match up, and I had to exit stage left. So we get too focused on what somebody has as opposed to who they are. You could bring a whole bunch of gold to the table. You could bring a whole bunch of money, but what is there to push that relationship forward? What kind of characteristics are you bringing? What are you persistent? Are you lazy? Who?
Well, I think somebody just had their thing not on mute, so we just heard a little.
Oh, okay. All right. So
go ahead,
long story short is, don't get distracted by what somebody brings monetarily or materially. That could be nice to draw you in if you're that kind of person, but focus on that character, who they are. Focus on if those words are lining up with their action. If you see a problem with a discrepancy between their words and their actions, you better take notice, because people will use all of what they make, what they have, what they drive to distract you from issues that you really should be paying attention to, which issues of the heart, possibly issues of the mind. So that's all.
No, that was good, Ron. I appreciate that. And actually, just to quickly give an example of what Ron talked about, you know, and this is the truth. I actually had a date recently where the woman, it was funny because on the first date, she asked me that if we got married, would I be okay with a prenup? And it was funny to me because I was always gonna ask for a prenup. Okay, I've been married once. Only the first wife gets a free ride in. You know, after that, I'm definitely gonna ask for a prenup. But what's funny to me about it is she's coming to the table, and in her mind, she thinks she makes more money than me.
Yeah.
And see, that's the whole thing. It's the attitude. And it's kind of like what Ron is saying. It's the attitude that I'm up here and you're down here, and you should be lucky to have me. When there are Black men out here and white men out here and Latino men out here that are doing it. Okay, and most men, when they doing it, they don't brag about it. But it's interesting that a lot of women, when they do it, they brag about it. But come on, Sophia, talk to us. Can't hear you right now. You gotta unmute. There you go.
Okay, I completely agree with what Ron was saying. At the end of the day, it's all about character, because I've met a lot of men who make less than me or more than me. And at the end of the day, if that character is not there, bye. I don't want to deal with you, because you can make a lot of money and treat me like crap. You can make, no money and treat me wonderful. So it's all about the character. But I wanted to speak to what you were saying about raising our boys weak. I'm a single mom, and I've been a single mom for 14 years. And I'm definitely not raising my son to be weak. I'm his mom, and I'll always be there for me. But he has to understand, you have to go out there and get what you need out of life. It's your path, it's your journey. I can't do your journey for you. Next week, he leaves for college, and that's all on you. But if you need me, I'm there. But he's not being raised to be weak. And I'm raising him with certain things I didn't have at his age, like about investing, saving money. He knows how to do that. So he has a summer job. Well, guess what? You can't spend all of it. You have to save some money. You have to have those means. So in the future, 30, 40 years from now, when I'm not around, what do you have to fall back on?
No, I mean, I'm with you. I'm not saying every woman. And like I say, I don't know what you've done to raise your son. All I can say is what is that generalized thing that's going on and actually what people are talking about. And I'll even give you something more to that. And if any man wants to say something about what I'm about to say, you're welcome to say it. When my dad, when I was about 13 years old, my dad made it very clear, and the people in CSC, they know this, they've heard me say this before. My dad made it very clear that when I turned 18, I had three choices. I go to college, I go to the military, or I get a job and get the heck up out of his house.
Yep.
How many men are still living with their mama, and they're 20 years old, 30 years old, 27 years old, 25 years old? Okay, where the mama is saying, it's okay. It's okay. No, it's not okay. If you look at every lions push their sons out. They say, you cannot be here with me. There can only be one man in this house. Okay, but see, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about teaching a boy to be a man, because if he is going to provide and if he is going to lead, he could not allow a woman to lead him and to protect him. You cannot protect your son and believe that your son is one day going to protect a woman. It doesn't work that way. Any boy that is living in his house after he turns 19 is shameful. That's just what I believe. Now I'll let the other men talk about it. If they want to say something about it, they can knock it out. But that is what I believe. That's what my daddy taught me. That is what every boy I know their daddy taught them. So I'm not beating up on any woman. I'm not here to beat up. I'm just saying that that's kind of that grit, that we're talking about when it comes to how you're raising your boy. Are you being truly hard on him? Or are you saying, mommy got it? So come on, Rashonda.
Hi. So, great conversation. I would say from my experience, I've noticed, yes, there's coddling from mothers, but there's also a lot of men not holding other men accountable for their actions for their lack of desire to want something more in life. So for example, I have a twin brother, and I will say my mom probably wasn't the hardest on him, but she also wasn't very hard on me. But I have a deeper desire to want to travel and just see the rest of the world. And because of that, I knew it took money. So I knew I needed to have more than just the basic job, right? But my brother, on the other hand, he didn't have that innate desire to want to do something else, get outside of Augusta, Georgia, be more than a cook. Although my mom has challenged him, hey, don't you want a family? Don't you think your wife would expect you to, make a little bit more money to, be able to help raise your son and different things like that? For him, the desire just isn't there. He's the smartest person I know. But then on the flip side, he gets a lot of that from my father. And my father grew up in a 2-person household where he had a father, like you mentioned, told him, look, either you go to school or you go into the military when you turn 18. He went into the military, and I mean, I just don't know what to say about it, and unfortunately the other day we had a conversation. My parents been divorced for over 30 years, right? And my dad's, one of his best friends was married to his lifetime girlfriend a couple of days ago, right? And then my other uncle, my dad's best friend, has been with his girlfriend or his wife for, 30 years. Both of these people cheated in their relationships off and on. I've always known about mistresses. The other day, my dad made a comment that, I just find it so unfair that your uncle was able to marry his lifetime girlfriend and my ex-wife didn't even stay with me when we all were cheating. And he sounded like a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum about how it was okay that his 2 best friends, girlfriend, wife, accepted the behavior, but my mom held him to another standard. And it's sad because I felt like another man could have stepped in and had that conversation to tell it to my dad, even at the age of 60, you sound like a 2-year-old. But my brother, unfortunately, takes just after him. And my mom didn't necessarily coddle him, if that makes sense. So.
No, it makes sense. And I mean, I think no matter what the situation is, you're always going to have people that do what they want to do. You can't ever 100%, knock people because, at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, you can either take one, the path to the right or to the path to the left. And I think a couple of people even said it in the chat that, hey, it's ultimately people's decision. Come on, Kevin.
Hey, good evening. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the conversation. I really didn't want to say anything, but you know me, Jay. I'm saddened by this conversation. Because it's just sad to see how society has just pushed us into these classes where women feel they have to be this or men feel like they need this. Pastor Jakes was preaching on biblically what he interpreted God to say. But God's word didn't just exist back then. My parents are still together after 57 years. And my dad and mom worked both dual income in the household. My dad came home and gave his check to my mom. She took care of the finances. I tried to recreate that with my marriage. It didn't work. Put everything in one bucket, as the lady earlier said. It didn't work. Why? It didn't work for us in today's society. But that's not to say that God's word still isn't true, that if you come together as one, it's not your money, my money beforehand. It is your money, my money beforehand. But what you do with it afterwards, God gets the glory out of how you treat each other and respect each other. And that's where the focus should be, not status, not income, not acclamations, not I can do for myself. Great, good for you. But one of the great things is, I hope this works out to be a good story. And I'm dating someone right now who I'm amazed that she's got her own, I've got my own, and she's looking for someone to come in and step in and be the head of household. I'm like, where does that come from? But it's just she understands the word of God, and I understand the word of God. But she's not doing it now because I'm not her husband. She said, if we make it that far, if we make it down that road, if we get to that understanding that you understand God and I respect God, we can honor and bless God in that way. So it's just sad right now just to see how society is pushing us into these sectors that you got to have this, or you got to have that, or you got to meet this, you got to meet that. How about looking at what Ron said, the character of a man, the character of a woman? Is he after God's heart? Is she after God's heart? If God's in the middle of everything, he'll bind everything together and make it.
Go ahead. Are you good, Kevin? Because I know you kind of got broke. Okay, cool. Come on, Miss Sherry. And I think Stan gonna be the last one. And then we're gonna go into something else.
Good afternoon. I think this is a great conversation. When we talk about T.D. Jakes and him speaking on independence and a woman being masculine, to me, in today's society, I think that women today are just bringing out their talents, their purpose in life. I don't think that they are intentionally wanting to be men. I think that they are using their talents. They are trying to define their purpose in life. And for me, I'm not looking to be a man in a relationship. I'm looking to enjoy the talents that God has blessed me with. I don't compare a man's salary to my salary. Now, I do look at character. I do try to see if we are a match as far as what we want in life, but I want a man in my life. I don't mind getting the groceries out of the car, but I do love when a man opened the door for me when we're getting in the car. So, I want to feel soft when I'm with a man. I don't want him to think that I want to take his, what I guess, quote, responsibility or what his role is as a man. When it comes to raising our children to be men, I think that it's very important that we start raising our children when they're toddlers, they're babies, and teaching them, responsibilities of respecting the young ladies, respecting themselves, respecting their parents. I think this all goes along with when they grow older, how they're going to treat, women and respecting them. And I don't think that, allowing sons to understand their feelings, how they feel, and cuddling your son, it just allows them to realize that they have feelings too, and they need to be heard as well. But, along the way, I definitely don't believe that boys should be taught that it's okay to stay at home. They definitely should be taught that at some point they will be responsible for themselves and for family. So, I truly believe that when we are meeting with someone, to date someone in relationships, we should definitely be seeking to align ourselves with that person. And it's all based on what your intentions are. What are you looking for in those relationships? But I truly believe that we should focus with our children on raising them to be young ladies. I didn't raise a son, but I have nephews, and I did contribute to their lives. So it was very important to see my nephews being raised to be responsible for growing up and respecting young ladies, as well as being responsible. When it comes to when we talk about character, once again, I think character is very important. Being in alignment with each other, that's very important. So I don't think women are being masculine intentionally, but I believe that, maybe sometimes we may have those type characteristics when women have had such success. I don't believe in flaunting what we have. I don't believe in talking about prenups when you meet someone. I don't think any of that is important. Aside from what are your intentions, have you found that this person is of interest, and then you take it from there. But I definitely don't believe finances should be talked about at that point.
Cool. Thank you. I think we probably might, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, about just having a deep conversation about how to raise boys. Because believe it or not, that's actually one of the subjects that comes up a lot in the dating sphere. It just comes up on the side. It's not directly talked about, but then it is directly talked about, because I do think that that is one of the main issues. It's like, do you teach your son to have feelings? Do you teach him to get in and out? You know, like Bacchus is shaking his head, and that's one place I actually agree. I think while a boy does have a lot of feelings, I think at the same time, you have to watch that, because a man's feelings are not appreciated. As he gets older, they're not appreciated. They're not appreciated by women, and they're not appreciated by men. And so those types of things, I think, will make for really great discussion, because, you know, I've been trying to say this to a lot of people, and unfortunately, women will probably be raising the next 2 or 3 generations of our boys. Okay, and many of them will be raising them alone. So the whole thing about it is, can we raise them in a better situation? And one of the first, I think it was maybe the 10th or 15th thing, you know, video call that we ever had. It was like maybe 10 women on and me. And they asked me, they said, Jay, you know, why can't we find, you know, men that are walking in their purpose, that are walking in their masculine? You know, why can't we find them? And I told them straight up, I was like, you know, no disrespect to you. I know it wasn't you per se. And I know there's a lot of ignorance going on, but I'm just going to be real. If you teach your sons to be feminine and you teach your daughters to be masculine, then in 20 years, people are going to have this conversation again with brand new people, because all these children are going to grow up and they're going to be in the same exact situation. And unfortunately, since so many Black men have actually abandoned their children, it takes the education of Black women to understand that if you do for your son what you're doing for your daughter, and you do for your daughter what you do for your son, you can probably fix it all. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Bacchus say something. This is finally, he rose his hand. I hope you don't mind, Stan, because I do need to get on to the next thing. But he's been patient, and I know he's coming over here for the first time from the other group. So you know,
I just had a quick question about something you just said. Wait, can you hear me right? Is my mic on? We good?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, cool. Something you just said about the women raising their men to be more masculine and their daughters to be more feminine. Do you really and truly believe that a woman on her own can teach a young boy how to be a masculine man that most of these women are requesting in life now? Or do you think that is mainly comes from a masculine man role model, whether it be his father or his uncle or his brother, whatever? That's my question. I was just asking for what you had just said, Jay. That was my question.
Well, actually, you know, to give you an answer to that, I think it takes multiple generations. I think it's going to take multiple generations to do it. I think while an uncle, he can learn a lot from an uncle, he's not around his uncle all the time. He might see his uncle twice a month or something like that, unless that uncle or coach or whatever is deep into his life. And so while I do agree with you that, you know, you really do need that man in there, but a lot of guys are just not going to have it. So my concept is, if we can get that feminine boy to go from 0 to 70, you know, in one generation, then maybe in that second generation, they can take him from 70 to 100. So I don't think it's going to be done in 20 years. I'm just saying that we got to get the ball rolling. And in order to get the ball rolling, we got to get something changing in order to make that happen.